Hey everybody, this is your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast, your host of the number one podcast coming to you live in America. And today we have a very special guest of mine, my friend, my pastor, always will remain my pastor. This man is impactful, this man is powerful, and he is a man of strong Christian values. And he's been leading the way in not only my life, but the life of men and women across the Hampton Roads, Virginia. And now he's expanding to new markets and growing as a father, as a businessman, and as a brother. And so I'm going to introduce my very special guest, Mr. James Taylor, as we discuss, can a single mother raise a man? So I'm going to bring him in and we are going to join him and welcome him. Thank you, Pastor JT, Mr. James Taylor, to the show.
What's up with you, man? I appreciate that. Don't forget husband. I don't want to die. My wife don't play them games.
He's a great father. This man is powerful and he is impactful. And, he's a great example. As a father, and that's what this show was made for. That's what this show was designed for: men leading and taking care of their homes and taking care of business and building a foundation, a strong foundation. And we wanted to welcome you, brother, and thank you for coming on to the show today.
Appreciate you having me, man. This is a great opportunity.
Yes, sir. So jumping right into it, this episode is dedicated. We had asked the question a number of weeks ago: can a single mother raise her son and teach him how to be a man? Do we even need both parents in a young man's life anymore? Is that necessary anymore? How do you feel? What's your thoughts on it?
I think it is. I think one of the biggest challenges is, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you've gone off screen.
Sorry about that. I think one of the biggest challenges is that you can actually develop. Well, let me say it this way, because I don't want to offend anybody. Yes, you can raise a child, but you cannot develop a child. So a mother can raise her son because she is raising him. He lives with her. She's feeding him. He's clothing him. He helps grow. But developing him fully as a man to be great. I'm sorry, that's my brother trying to chime in at this time. But yeah, I don't think so. And I don't say that to be disrespectful. I say that because I think that needs to be stated. You can help a young man become great by pouring into him emotionally. And I'll give you a great example. When my grandmother raised me, she always used to say, "This is how you treat me as a lady." She never once tried to raise me as a man. Because what happens is when mothers start to push their sons and be aggressive with them, they're automatically trying to beat into them this level of submission to respect them. When in all actuality, it should be reversed where they teach them to protect them. So I would see a lot of moms that are single exert themselves and be super aggressive with their boys because they feel the need to match their son's energy. But that's not how God called boys to be. What should really happen is women should be willing to look at their sons and say to their sons, "This is how you treat me." So a mother can be a great example of what a woman is in totality, and her young son can submit to that and manage his emotions through that. But the nuances of how to deal with a man and his emotions and how to help a young man navigate the three things that I think are pillars for most men: adventure, battle, and romance. I don't think a woman can do that. A woman can't teach a man how to be romantic from a man's perspective, only from a woman's perspective. A woman can't teach a man his physical attributes and abilities and how to use them the proper way because she's not built the same way he is. A woman can't teach a man his mental understanding and makeup of a man because her thoughts, her processes are based on the actions of a woman. Doesn't mean she can't raise him. I just have a hard problem with women believing that they can develop a man into a full man without the presence of one.
Absolutely. So what you're saying and what we're talking about here is it's being done, right? Women are raising men with the absences of father, but there are things there, and no disrespect, like you said, there's no disrespect, there's no shade, there's no animosity here, and saying we're not looking to say one is better than the other, but we're saying there are things, there are aspects that a woman cannot teach to, and she cannot speak
Right.
to
Right.
for a man, just like you
Right.
said. So a man, in essence, will show another man how to love his wife. Son, this is what you how watch how I love your mother, and through my
Right.
actions, I'll be the example for you.
Right. And here's the things that I want to understand. Like, I have two beautiful daughters. My wife left and went out of town, and my daughter started her cycle. I was
Wow.
devastated, right? So
Wow.
I put myself trying to have the talk. This is going into womanhood. This My daughter was looking at me like, I don't want this moment with you. So I called my wife and she FaceTimed my wife, and then they had a conversation. And I was saying, oh, I would have never said that. Oh, I didn't even think about that. What is that? It was because there were
Right.
so many areas that I did not understand as a man, and where I get in a lot of conflict with, because I have this argument with some of my sister times, single parent, she deals with those things, and I said to her, do you think I could raise your daughters better than you can as a woman? She said, oh no, never that. You don't understand what we go through. You don't know how our body language. Look how you botched the time your daughter had her cycle. I had to go to the store. And here's the crazy thing. I'll
She
humble
said that?
myself. Oh yeah. Oh, my sister women. Oh, you can't do that. You can't. But I said, well, why can't it be the same way with a man? And here's something that I think is very powerful that women would agree with, but they have a hard time saying because it's been culturally embedded, especially in the African American community, that Big Mama is all knowing, that
Mm.
women are stronger in maintaining a household of a family than a man is. Women are the glue. Now, biblically, that ain't what God said, but emotionally and conversation wise in the culture, that's what it is. I am actually raised by my grandmother and my aunt. And what's amazing about the two women that I was raised by that I thank God for every day is they never tried to be a man. I used to have my aunt say, well, I don't know that. I ain't no man. This is what
Mm.
I want from you as a woman. My grandmother used to say, your grandfather would do this. And then when my grandmother did, when I hit 13 and I just got big playing football, and she gave me a spanking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gave my sister the same spanking. It wasn't the same, right? My sister was devastated, all frustrated. I was like, oh, I'm going outside and go play. What? I don't even know what that was.
You was good to
Now,
go.
I was good to go. But what she did was she looked at me. She said, oh, okay. She called my brother. My brother came me and gave me that spanking. My whole life was changed. I was like, hold up, this hurts so bad. And this is how bad it is. I literally was like, I told my brother after he spanked me, I was like, man, I went to my grandma and say, no, I told my brother, I'm going to grandma. I don't want you spanking me no more. I said, well, he said, well, why you don't want that? I said, because when you do it, it hurts. When grandma do it, it's like a little pinch or something, and I can go on about my business. He said, so basically what you want is you want to be able to do whatever you wanted to do and be comfortable. So that means there's no boundaries for you as a man because you're not feeling the same wrath another man could give you. You see what I'm saying? It
Mm.
doesn't mean that my grandmother wasn't supposed to be loved and respected. And this is what he said. He said to me, if I'm out of town because you traveled a lot and grandma beats you, you better take it like I'm coming to you. You better treat her a certain way like me. And I was wrestling with that as a young man because I knew I was bigger. I knew I was getting to the place where I really didn't have to listen to what she was saying. I knew I was a place I could walk out and she couldn't do anything. And I wasn't respectful enough at that place where I was no longer fearful of her. Now it had to be about respecting her. And I needed another man to teach me that. And I needed my grandmother to stay the beautiful woman that she was and demanded that I honor her. But if she would have tried to match me man for man, I would have been confused because I'd have been like, so am I supposed to be with a woman that's going to want to fight me
Mm.
and beat me and have to yell and scream at me? Because I'm looking at people who have the whole family in the house and the mom could say, I need you to take this out. And the son be like, man, I ain't doing that. And the dad go, I will kill you. And he like, oh, he takes care of it. And then all of a sudden I hear a young man say, when he hit 15 and I hit 15, his thoughts was, I'm supposed to protect and care for my mom and protect her because my dad says, as a young man, this is what I'm going to do with my wife. This is how I'm going to carry it. This is how I'm going to love her. This is how I'm going to do it. And this is what I heard my friend's father say. And I never heard this till I heard another other man say, my homeboy had got in trouble for disrespecting his mother. His father beat the bricks off of him and went out of town and said, you treat her like I would treat her. When I'm not home, you the man of the house. You're supposed to protect her. If something go wrong on your watch, I'm going to punch your First of all, I don't even know what that means. But I watched how he treated his mother when his father was gone. We was playing ball. He saw his mom coming through, and we in the hood. And she had groceries. He was like, yo, hold up, stop the game. And he went and he took care of groceries. Now watch this. And I hope ladies are watching this and listening to this. All the young men who didn't have fathers in their life was complaining. All the young men who had fathers was like, yeah, all right, yeah, we're going to wait. Go ahead and handle your business. That's what we do. And I'm like, there was a difference. It doesn't mean that mothers are not loving and care for. And I would even argue a father will teach a young man how much more he's supposed to take care of the woman that is in his life and love her and protect her and guide her. And I'm not talking about guide in the sense of like she don't have her own career. I'm talking about guide her in the sense of, hey, babe, watch out for that. Hey, babe, while you building this, I'm going to protect your left side. While you're developing that, I'm going to protect your right side. Oh, I see some snakes ahead. Let me go kill them so you can focus on the task at hand. I tell my wife all the time, man, it's like if you're cold, I'm freezing. If you're hungry, I'm starving. If you're broke, I got debt. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have this protection for her that was developed by me having a man eventually come into my life and show me areas where I needed to be stable and where I needed to be a leader and be someone that a woman could one day trust to provide for. And so I don't say that to disrespect women at all. And I don't want to get overly spiritual, but I have to say this. Ephesians, the 5th chapter, requires us as men to lead. And it requires us not to lead as dictators, but lead as servants. To where my wife is upstairs right now with a fever. She wants for nothing. And my wife called me while I was on this call with you, brother. I'm out.
I feel you.
You know, people be like, how you going to interrupt the show? You ain't my main priority. My wife is my main priority, right? Before I check, I said, hey, you talked. I was like, hey, my wife's sick. You was like, hey, do you need to go? Do you need to stay? You know what I did? I checked with my queen. She said, you fine. You did this. And then she ordered food, hit you in the head, get that money, and I'm a caterer. You know what I'm saying? I think men don't understand. You're a waiter, man. Your job is to provide for your sons the understanding of how to be a servant leader. A lot of times we teach men to be leader where it's like, I just said, so that's what we want to do. But actually, here's the one thing nobody talks about, and I'll move on and you can ask me questions. Most men have a nurturing nature, and their nurturing nature should be for their wife. Kids grow up and leave. Kids grow up and leave.
Right.
But the person you should nurture is your wife, because who spends the most time nurturing the kids? The mom.
The mom.
So she should be able to get a break when you come. When I come around, my kids already know. You can ask my son right now. I can bring him in his room right now. I said, who come first, you or your mama? He's going to be like, Daddy, again, for the 90th time, mommy comes first. If we got one sandwich left, who getting that sandwich? Mommy getting a whole sandwich. We ain't getting a crumb. We not getting a half. I said, but who going to give you half of that sandwich knowing they butt is going to do it? Mommy probably going to give me half. You going to let me starve. But mommy gonna get that. I said, you daggone right. It doesn't mean that she's not able to take care of herself. It just means that she should have a place where she can be safe and be nurtured. And I think what mothers don't understand is some, I won't say all, they miss out on having a good man protect them while they raise a young king. And that's the part that bothers me so much. I just think it breaks my heart that that's how our world is right now. And I also want to reiterate, because a lot of people keep throwing this number out there about fathers. You do know we are now at over 70% of African American fathers being a part of their kids' life now. We're no longer in that phase of, and this is a study that has been done by Ivy League schools, and you can see it now. Black men are probably terrible with relationships. They're horrible. I mean, we Lord help us. It's terrible when it comes to how we treat women. But we are way more present in our children's life. And actually, the study also revealed that Black men are willing to do more hair, spend more quality time with their children than most white men. Our problem is we have wounded Black women so much to the point that they're like, well, I can't expect you to love the kid. You barely know how to love me. And that's just not the case. And men are easier to level a child quicker than a woman because a woman will challenge their level of emotions. I tell my wife all the time, I'm the most vulnerable, most sensitive, the most broken, the most afraid when I'm with you. Not with a kid. The kids ain't going to do all that to me. Because with you, you're my equal. You see my deepest, darkest areas, and you provide for me things that the kids can give me. And that's beyond just sex. I'm talking about just emotional stability, emotional stability, spiritual covering, in the sense of when I'm falling short, you got me. You see where I'm flawed at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to give that clear. So if a young lady just can't be like, oh no, he didn't. I want her to understand. I'm not saying you don't raise them. I'm saying that men need development from other men.
And that's unique, right? That's powerful. Especially that last part you touched on where you said, who getting the last sandwich? Your mom is. The most powerful thing for that, and we see it now, especially in COVID, where the parents they go all out. The mom, the dad, they go all out for the kids, and then just like you said, the kids go off to college. They leave the house. They move out, and so for 18 to 25 years, you have clung.
25. Oof. Okay,
I'm just saying. You for 18 years, you have clung to these kids, right? As your safe haven. Whenever you're mad with your husband or whenever you're mad with your wife, you reach out. Kids, let's go out. Your father's staying home, or your wife, we going out. And you cling to those kids as your backup. Well, now the kids have left. And now both of you are now staring at each other. And you now realize that you haven't been in love for 18 years. Yep. You fell out of love because the kids got all your love. The kids got all your attention. The kids got all your affection. And you forgot about your marriage.
Wow, that's good.
And so now we're coming to this realization that the kids are all grown. They all left.
Right.
And we're spending time to each other. And we're looking at each other. And it's like, I don't love you anymore. Right. We've been together for 20 years.
Yes. Yes. And see, here's the thing. I raise my kids. I partner with my wife. She's my best friend. She's the person that I spend the most time with. I bare my soul with my wife, and I be a model for my kids. I grow. I tell parents this all the time. It's your first time having a teenager, and it's their first time being a teenager. Both of y'all are crazy. What makes it more crazy is if you're going to war with your wife because you and your wife have made the kids more of a priority than you as a couple. The kids should never come first. Absolutely. You and your wife should come first. My number one priority is the health and wealth and stability of Jacqueline Taylor, not my kids. I tell my kids all the time, as the Bible says, I train you up and you grow, and then at one point you become a friend of mine, but you're still not my main priority. Your mother will be my main priority. And it took my wife and me a minute because Jackie is very big on taking care of the kids and doing that. And she grew up where, her mom's like, you don't need no man and this and that and third and stuff like that. And then I am a very rare man in the sense of I'm in touch with my emotions. So I was saying stuff like, my wife's like, why are you all upset about me going out with my girlfriends? I was like, you know what, babe? I'm actually just jealous and I miss you and I'm going to spend time with you. Can we go out on a date? And she's like, okay, I like that. I didn't know you. And now watch this though. Then she would say sometimes, well, he a man, he should just suck it up. Why he acting like that? And so here's and it happens. I mean, because what she was shown was not healthy. So vulnerability sometimes to women is weakness.
True.
Now you and I both know how big I am and how intense I could be. But with my wife, I'm a big teddy bear. And I told her, if you're not my safe place, then what is?
Mm.
Beside the Lord Jesus Christ, where is my safest place? Where is the place should I be the most vulnerable?
With
And
her.
because the scripture says the two shall become one flesh, then why is it not like that with us? And she was like, you know what? You're right. She said, I'm just not, I've never seen that. All I've seen
Really.
from my father was distance. And what I've seen for other men is you go to work, you provide, you bring home your check. What you do in the street, you do in the street. And that's why we have such a vicious cycle towards men, because we have accepted when a man is away, he gonna play. You know what I'm saying? It's just a
Right.
mentality that we need to stop putting in the lives of our people, man. And that's all I'm saying. I am very open to women correcting me on this. You know, even me and my wife had this conversation. She's like, no, we could raise them, but I don't know if you could say that. Because she was like, yeah, we do need a father, because I see how the boys are with you and did things that y'all talk about. I can say the same thing and they just blow me off, and then you say it another way and they get it. And then vice versa, you know, because I was giving my daughter this lecture and I was pointed on, I was using scriptures. I sound good to me. My wife came in with three words and I was like, and she crying, feeling all repentant. I was like, hold up, I gave her King James Bible. How in the world you come in here with your little 3 words? Because there's something about the kindred spirit of women and the kindred spirit of men that we just keep negating and we downplay because we don't want to accept it. I can develop my daughters to the level my wife can. And any man who tell you he could develop his daughters to help them to know who they are as a woman, he's lying. He's lying. I've had moments when I traveled a lot and I had the kids and my daughters would talk to me about stuff and I literally just be listening. And then my wife would be like, "Oh, you getting played right now?" I'm like, "No, no, no. She was bearing her soul." Nah, my daughter was playing me. And then she'll come and my wife will get back and then she'll get chewed out and walk up to me and say, "Dad, I apologize. I was actually doing manipulation." Da da da. It's like, really?
Wow.
Because I couldn't see it, not because I didn't want to see it, not
Mm.
because I wasn't looking for it, because I know teenagers could be, you know, sneaky with it. But I just didn't see it. And it wasn't because I didn't have the eye for it. It didn't make me less of a father. It just makes me a good man who has blind spots. That's why God gave me a wife. Why would you get a partner that can't develop areas in your understanding of stuff? And that's things I'll never get. I'll never get. My daughter got her heart broken about something, and I'm, you know, you want me to beat him up? You want me to talk to him? And she's like, that's not gonna change my situation. And then, you know, she's like, this is gonna make you feel better. I was like, you know what, you're right. It would. It would make me so happy, right? But then that doesn't develop her emotionally to understand how to deal and navigate with bad men.
True.
So she said, Daddy, what should I look for? Then we had that conversation. Then her mom was like, this is the type of woman you need to be. So I'm telling you what you need to look for in a man, and I have to be a good model as a man because you're not gonna like everything you see. Like my daughter don't want to marry somebody that look like me. You know what I'm saying? That's just not the goal. But she's gonna want some character traits, door opening. Like I date my daughters.
Right. Right.
You know, I
Amen.
got one. Hey, you clapping, but sometimes that thing is expensive because I got one. We can go to a basketball game, we can go to a park, we can go skateboarding, and then I got one that's like, let's go to McCormick and Smith with a plate is $45.
But why do you do that? Why do you do that? It's expensive, but there's a
It's worth
but
it.
there.
It's
There
worth
you
it.
go.
It's
There
worth
you
it.
go.
She has way more value than the meal that I'm paying for. And I want her to know that this is what she deserves. And so her standards won't be low. And I'm trying to make the job of the man that comes into her life so hard that when he steps up, it's not about, and she always says it. That's what beauty of being a father is. My daughter will say stuff like, and she'll do this after I got on her nerve. This little boy's like, yeah, pops could be stupid. She's like, hold on, wait a minute. I may be mad at my dad, but my dad take care of me. You in high school like me. I don't know what you talking about. nah, don't try to knock my father. So she's defending me and then got in the car still ain't talking to me. I'm cool, but it was kind of like, and that's just the nature of the relationship. And the original point, again, I want to say this because I don't want women to be discouraged and saying that they're not doing a great job, because they are. I think the problem is that at some point that young man needs to see another man so he can be better than what he is for you and for the woman that God has for him when he gets older.
Okay. So our mothers, I've seen a mother can be very overprotective of her son, especially in this Black Lives movement, right? Mothers are clinging to their boy children. You got Breonna Taylor, you got George Floyd, you got Trayvon Martin, all these men. So mothers are really, really clinging to their sons. Can that overprotection, can that sheltering be a bad thing for a young man without the presence of a father?
Yes, because her protection can cause limits. A young man is like an eagle. He has to eventually learn how to fly. And if you are the source of his protection, that's why we have so many men in their 40s still living with their mama. That's why we have so many young men who don't know how to have a difficult conversation about employment and hard work. One of the things I think mothers should have, and most mothers don't like when I say this, because I run the We As Men program and I do boys and all that. The one thing mothers get mad at me the most with is, I'll be like, yeah, you need to cut him off. Yeah, this is when we need to stop giving him money. This is when we need to stop giving him things he wants. This is the moment where we do this. Why? Because he needs to fend for himself. Oh, it's time for him to get a summer job. No, don't buy all his school clothes. Let him come home and start paying bills. I'll give you a great example. I turned 15. My grandmother was like, you're going to have to pay a bill in this house, and you're going to put away money for school clothes.
Okay.
She was like, you a man. And I'll never forget this. She did it with my sisters too. And then she said to me, and I want you to do this as well as this. And I was like, well, wait a minute, hold up. My sister ain't got to do that. She's like, yeah, but your sister ain't going to be the main provider. Your sister ain't got to be the one to be out there when everything goes bad. You need to be able to know how to figure it out. Mind you, I did that every summer. Still got lazy at 19. Joined the Navy. Got out the Navy because I got physically hurt, right?
Man.
And my grandmother, I quit this job because I didn't like the job. You know how we do as young people, man. Forget this. Now, I'm on my own. I'm literally on my own. Right. I called my grandmother and I said, Mom, I need $50 to pay my rent. She said, let us pray. Ooh. She prayed for me. And
that's it?
She was like, all right, now I love you. I said, oh, I said, Grandma, we need $50. You understand? She's like, no, I'm not giving you no money. They got these day jobs that you go and take care of stuff. She's like, you need to figure that out as a man. We no longer taking care of you. Call my aunt. My aunt was the one that always gave money, bro. You know how some aunties, here, baby, here you go.
Right.
She called me back. She said, I prayed about it. The Lord told me not to send you the money. You're a young man. You learn how to take care of yourself. So now I got one day to pay my rent. I got that job where you work overnight and you get the check the next day.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Those little, whatever they call them jobs. I made $112. I was so tired, bro. And they took like $30 out for the taxes or whatever. I had $70 and like $20 to get me some food. I called my grandmother and she said, did you get the money? I was like, oh, you going to send it to me now? She's like, no. She said, what I want you to understand is it's your turn. This is what she said right after that. Baby, I'm going to need you in about a month. I'm going to need you to send me about $150 because there's some things I need to take care of. She didn't tell me what it was that she was taking care of.
Really?
And she wanted me to make sure. Now, I just talked to this woman the other day about my bread, bro. Needed $50 for rent. Do you not know I sent her that $150 a month later?
Right.
And then she was like, hey, you know what? Could you be consistent with it? When you get married, you don't have to give me nothing, but I'm older now. I done took care of you. There's some stuff I want to do. Now, I'm going to tell you what she did with the $150. She would take the $150 when she went on the cruises with her girlfriend so she could spend it at the slot machine and get her some extra Mai Tai and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
What she was saying to me was, you are a man. provide for yourself, and also learn how to be willing to provide for your family. And these are her exact words. I did say, my ties, though. She said, what I do with the money, I'm grown. I'm your mama. You don't get to tell me what to do with the money I asked you for. You my baby. I raised you. I want to do that. Now, somebody else might say that's wrong, but it disciplined me. Because now
Right.
I'm looking at my bill saying, hey, I got $150 I need to pay every month. And you know, I said in my head, oh, I need to pay these bills every month. And then my
Right.
godfather, who was my mentor, he said, keep paying $150. You gotta always know, because sometimes women take care of things at the household that you would never know about.
Mm.
He said, you see what I'm saying? He said,
Right.
because you're so busy catching the fish, they learn it, they distributing it.
Mm.
And these are the type of things that we don't have the conversations with men, because that's why when a man says something slick about a woman staying home, taking care of their kids, he should slap himself. The one thing that people have gotten away from is the beauty of a stay-home mom. Like, I know nobody likes to, women get mad when I say this, but my wife has been a stay-home mom the first 12 years of her kid's life. Amazing job. Amazing job. And now she's working, and it's my turn now. I'm Big Daddy. We ain't playing. I'm beating kids. I'm grounding for. I'm taking phones because they teenagers and they're at that phase where they just want to wild out. But
Right.
that first phase of understanding and love and growth is so important, man. You know, I'm not saying homeschooling. I'm just saying the presence of that, and we sacrifice that, and it has helped shape who our kids are now. I know I went
Right.
on a tangent about it, but I think that's something that we need to talk through.
What are the different things that a man, you touched on it earlier? There are three things, core things. What are the different things that a man brings to the maturing of another young man or a young son, his son?
One is his physical presence. Can no woman
Okay.
teach a man about his physical presence? I'm so tired of women talking about women are just as strong men. No, they not. Men have a physical presence about them that they need to learn how to be restrained and taught by another man. So you don't touch a woman like that. You don't grab no woman like that. Grabbing another man is different than grabbing. That same grab you do on a woman can damage her arm. You know, physical prowess and understanding that, you know, don't stand up. Like one of the things my daughters taught me one time is I was standing up talking to my daughter and she kept stepping back. I was like, what you stepping back for? She's like, Dad, I just don't feel comfortable with a man standing over me like that.
Wow.
So when I talk to her, I sit down in the chair and I just look at her. And the
Eye
only reason
level.
why, yeah, and so the reason why I have that relationship, because I tell my daughters, anytime you feel threatened by me, I need you to tell me. Because I'm equal opportunity hostility. I don't play with my boys. I don't play with my girl. I don't play with nobody. You wrong, I'm on you. But I realize with my daughters, I can't be that way. And even physical doesn't necessarily mean grabbing. It's just your presence and how you move, right?
Right.
So what you should be is a giant ball of protection instead of a giant ball of a threat.
Mm.
Number two, mental stability. A woman can't tell a man his mental capacity. I'm sorry. You ain't going. There are things that we deal with as a man that is totally tougher than what a woman, not tougher, different than what a woman deals with. Mentally,
Right.
I can't tell a woman about a cycle. I can't tell a woman about how to deal with hormones and all. I can't tell nothing that. But I can tell a
Right.
boy about testosterone. I can tell a boy
Right.
about why puberty is where it's at. I can tell a boy, explain to him about, you know, wet dreams. I'm sorry, I don't want to be appropriate, but things of those natures that
You're
men deal
fine.
with. I could tell a young man about how uh, uh, he can have these range of emotions and a switch where society has told the man to turn off tears and turn off being vulnerable, which my son is now 12 going through that. He's crying a lot. He's dealing with that. I said, hey, son, I want to get you therapy. And I also want to be a listening ear because you should cry when you're wounded. You should cry
Mm.
when you're sad. When you fall down and you feel that pain, don't acknowledge it. Because what so many men have died from is not being willing to go to the doctor, not being willing to show that they got a wound, not being willing to take care of their bodies and let them, that old guard, you know, our grandfathers and all them would work till their bones were brittle. No, teach your son to understand where his body. You're not less than a man if you take care of your mental capacity, your physical capacity, your mental capacity, and spiritually. What is the role of a man when it comes to the things of the Lord? We don't have those conversations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you take Ephesians 5, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. That right there, you should be willing to die for her. Spiritually, a woman ain't gonna tell me, because I used to get mad at the Bible. I'm like, wait a minute, she don't die for me. Right? No, it's like, you know, she reverences you, and which reverence doesn't mean controlling. Reverence means I submit to you and as a husband. And like me and my wife talk about it all the time. It's like, I, if it gets really sticky, you make the final decision. But as the man, you got to live with that final decision, which scares the mess out of me. You know, we'll talk it through, and my wife say, "This is where I at," and my wife will give me room to hang myself. She'd be like, "Well, you the man, go ahead." And then when it fails, she don't come back at me. I gotta humble myself and be like, "Yeah, baby, I dropped the ball." She's like, "It's all right. It's okay." But I can hear it in her voice. I told your black behind not to do it in the first place. Like, that's that part right there. That spirituality where love your wife as Christ loving church, present her without spot or wrinkle. That means you need to live a life of love as a servant leader, where she can see the beauty in you. She can see the
True.
humility in you. She can see the protection of you in you. She can see the physical protection. It's like being big as the rock, and you see him holding his daughter. She's in her safe place, and she talking trash to him and coming at him crazy because she doesn't see him as the enemy. She sees him as protection.
True.
And so that's what my wife should see with me. You know, and I
True.
don't think a woman can teach a man how to be a protector. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Wow. She can
I
only
know that.
she can only say how she wants to be treated. She can only tell you,
Hmm.
but a man is to show you. He's going to lead you. He's going to say, "This is what you do, son. This is why you stay on the curbside. She stays on the inside."
Right.
You are the example. So can vice versa. So this is a comment from a earlier inbox. I had the more misfortune of being raised by a single mother. He said misfortune by being raised by a single mother who didn't need a man. She didn't need a man, but I needed a father. That's terrible, not having a father figure to relate and just being influenced by raging female hormones. That's really effed up. And
Mm.
so that's a comment that I received from an earlier guest. When I published the show, he commented right away, and it meant a lot to hear it as another
Hmm.
man. See, I was raised by my father. So I have the opposite effect. I grew up with him. I was taught by him. I was nurtured by him. And I saw my father work. I saw my father grind. I saw him hustle. And so that's where I get that hustle from. That's what I get that that energy from, because I had an example in my life to show me the way.
Mm.
And I wouldn't change that. Even though I grew up with them in different households, I preferred to be by my father's side, to
Mm.
see what I'm supposed to do, to cut the grass, right?
Hmm.
To do yard work, to maintain a home. He's climbing on ladders, getting on the roof, fixing stuff. I needed that.
Hmm.
And I don't
Hmm.
think I would get that same example had I grew up with my mother, who's saying, "Oh
Right.
no, don't climb on the ladder. Oh, if you cut the grass, you're gonna get cut. You're gonna get bugs in your hair." You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna
Hmm.
get the protection when I don't need the protection. I
Right.
need
Right.
I need you to be rough with me right now. I need you to take me outside and to get dirty and to experience what that's like. And
Right.
so
Right.
I don't think I would trade that for the world.
I don't think you should.
So
His comment is very. It's also, and that's gonna sound crazy when I say this. I think him as a young man should now find someone that can mentor him, but also be willing to bring that home and spend time with his mother as a better model. One of the things that I realized that my grandmother blessed me with, I told you the $150 given to her was
yeah.
her labor wasn't in vain. She got to now see her boys just take care of her. I mean, we spoiled the mess out of her. I need y'all to come see me. I ain't seen nobody in a while, so you fly out, go and do that. Oh, you know what? I
Mhm.
blew my money. Baby, where you at, grandma? You sound like you're on a water or something. I'm on a cruise. Could you just send me $50? Grandma, I send you, honey. Go and do what you need to do. Because what we're doing was we were showing appreciation for the person who loved us, but we also gave her an opportunity to see fully grown men loving her as a queen. And so what should happen is, as a young man, he should love his mother as a queen. He can be frustrated by her frustrations because she wasn't treated right by a man. But he can be a model that when she leaves this earth as a son, he was a great model towards her. And I've seen young men love their mother to the point where their mothers be in their 50s and 60s and be open to love again because their son would fall in love and say, "Hey, mom, you crossing lines. I didn't really value the way you raised me this way. And I'm loving you and taking care of you." Because sometimes You, and then you have to be careful. Let me be clear. And sometimes you have to be careful that your mom will want you to be her boyfriend. So you got to be
Mm,
careful about that. But
mm.
at the same
Yep.
time, you have to be a good model to serve your mother, to let her know that her work wasn't in vain, and let her see what a healthy man looks like. You know, to encourage that young man, and he can email me if you want. You got to teach young men how to be healthy and be in touch with their emotions. I tell my wife all the time, I am to you when I don't know where I am and who I am. Because, and let me give a good quote for a lot of men out there. They need to hear this. Emotions will tell you where you are, but they can't tell you where you go. They'll tell you where you are. Don't
Wow.
deny your emotions. Because you ever notice when men get in an argument with a woman, they get to cussing them out. They get to being disrespectful and wanting to get physical because they don't know how to properly express their emotions. They don't
Right.
know how to properly say, hey, you're doing this wrong. Like my grandmother, uh, I give a great example. She's like, this is the girl you should be with. This is the person you need to be with. And it was one of the biggest moments. You know, my grandmother was, she almost borderline like, this is what the Lord said type stuff. And I said, why would God go through you to tell me who to spend the rest of my life with? She was
Wow.
so upset. She was upset with me. You know, she's my mama. You know, she raised me.
Right.
She came
Right.
downstairs. She said, you know what? You're right. You are a man. When I had my first child, she came in the house. She was all over my wife. You need to hold the baby like this. Do this. I pulled her to the side. I said, you're in my home. That's my
Mm,
wife.
mm.
If she wants you to help her with the child, she'll ask you for your help. But you can't dictate to her how she's going to raise our baby. Now, everything
Boy.
that you poured into me, I'll say that. And I said, and here's the funny thing, Grandma. Some of the stuff you're saying is right, but it's not your place to say. You come to me and you tell me, and I'll go talk to my wife, and I'll still ask her if she's okay with it because we're one. You're not my main priority. The two shall you leave and cleave. My grandmother looked at me. She said, "Okay, I see you trying to be a little man." You know, she didn't, she didn't,
She's.
she didn't knock me. She just took, she still took shots, you know. But that's a parent, right? But she respected me for it,
Yep.
and that's how you have to be as a man. You can't. A lot of men don't know how to be able to balance out, and there's really no balance. It's just priority. But hey, mom, this is your role. Hey, wife, this is your role, and hey, me, husband, this is my role, and we figure it out. But it starts with me and my wife. It don't start with you, grandma. When you come in here, you abiding by our rules. If you see something, you can make suggestions, but you can never dictate in this home. And you know,
True.
I didn't use those words because I ain't want to get slapped in my mouth. But I,
I was about to
you know,
say.
I, yeah, I worked that thing, you know, and she called me back and she literally went to my wife and apologized to her. Was like, hey, I overstepped my boundaries. She's like, thank you so much. She said, that's fine. My baby checked. You know, you his number one priority. Now let me go on back in my little living room. And then I watched my grandmother say, can I make a suggestion? And then it just made it more palatable. And I think that's what we as men have to do. We have to be in touch with our emotions. That young man needs to know who he is and how he feels so that he won't spill over that. Because he might find a great woman and she may have some flashes of mommy. And he'd be like, nah, I don't want all that. Because, you know, this thing about black women being too aggressive and that's why we want to go to another race and all that dumb stuff, that ain't real. What happens is you have two people who have never had a chance to express their emotions, emotional health properly. That's why we're not growing. If that makes any sense.
Because we're not communicating to each other healthy. That's why you see this huge expansion of black men leaving and going to other races and black women going to
Right.
other races because
Right.
we haven't nurtured the communication between each other.
Yeah. Yes. Because
Okay.
people say this for years. And if anybody's listening to this, this is where you need to grow at. We need to stop telling people we just need to learn how to communicate. No, we need to know who we are so that when we communicate, it makes sense. If I don't know who I am, I communicate all day long. I'm gonna just keep cussing you out. That's
Right.
communication, right? But if
Right.
I know who I am as a man, like one of the things I've just discovered over this year is I have put up a wall of high aggression because I am highly vulnerable.
Mm,
I'm a sensitive dude, man. You know what I'm saying?
that's
And
real.
even now I would suppress that and I always used to say, but I still knock you out. Like that stuff is just it's semantics. It's like two
Right.
men in a grocery store, right? I was in Walmart the other day and two dudes were standing there down each other and it was like, what you looking at? What you looking at? And this was a while ago. And he was like, yeah, I don't know what you looking at. Yo, stop looking at me, son. That's insecurity.
Right.
That's
That's true.
literally insecurity. So what happened was I started laughing. They go, what you laughing at? I said, y'all got two black men about to fight each other because y'all looked at each other. So you saying when we see each other, we can't look at each other and it not be a conflict? Y'all look like two strong black kings that could be great in society and probably might be able to do something together. But why is it that when you walk in the store, you look at each other, it got to turn into you being ready to fight? That's insecurity. And it's like, man, this ain't old man, mind your business. I said, okay, go ahead and fight in the frozen food section if you want to. I'm out. And I saw one of them in the gym later. He walked up to me. He was like, yo, what you mean about that? What you mean about that emotional stuff, cuz? And I just started explaining it to him. And he was like, yeah, I was kind of nervous, man, but I wasn't going to back down. And I said, why was you ready for war off of a look? Is that really your heart or is that a learned behavior? He was like, that's a learned behavior because we in the hood are taught if somebody stare you down, you stand back. You ever seen black men say something like, yeah, I don't like the way he look at me.
Right.
Or
All
you
the
hear
time.
a black girl say something like, "It's just something about her I don't like."
Right.
Those are learned behaviors that teaching us to be animals instead of relationship driven, to be emotionally healthy.
Ooh.
And listen, our culture will teach us how to be animals towards one another. We
Mm.
fight over block. We fight. When I was selling drugs in the street, I used to always get joked on because I was like, yo, the goal is to make money to feed our families because we're struggling. Why we got to shoot each other? There's mad corners. I want this corner. All right, I go to the other corner. And they're like, you weak for that. No, I'm still making the same amount of money. Now, what I was doing was illegal, but I was taking the same money. And then I would say the dude that was on this corner, I was like, yo, if we have two people on the same corner, I give you a percentage of this, you keep that, we both can eat. Why we got to kill each other? Why can't we take care of it? But it's so embedded in our culture to be animals, to be wolves instead of lions. You know what I'm saying? And the
Yes, sir.
problem is that we don't teach men to be in touch with their emotions enough to say, I'm hurt, I'm angry, I feel lonely, I feel highly insecure. That's why we curse women out every time they reject us. What you're really, this is what I jokingly said at a conference one time. When a man curses a female and call her the B word because she didn't give him a number, what he really saying is, I wish you would have liked me and I'm embarrassed in front of my friends.
That's what he really feels. That's how he really
That's
feels.
that's how he really feels. He had a high expectation to get to know you and you shot him down.
Right.
But then on the other end, black women keep getting mad at black men, but they keep choosing the same type of black anger, same type of white, same type of they. You cannot get mad and keep saying all men are dogs if you keep picking a dog.
Right.
If you keep
True.
picking the dog, it's
There it
not the
is.
dog that's the problem. You're the problem.
The common
Why?
denominator.
Why are you attracted to dogs? Ain't no man no good. No, you pick them. And most people pick the level of where they are. I'm gonna leave that right there. I probably
Common
might get in trouble, but
denominator.
I'm just
And
saying.
you're right. You're right. Y'all, if this message is helping you, if this message is serving you, please like, share, and subscribe. This is live and direct, and you're not gonna get this anywhere else. This man, Mr. James Taylor, he's spilling some tea, y'all. That hurt. But it needs to be said, right? I said that same thing to a family member one time, right? They were putting out there that their new relationship was great and good and all of this, and then it didn't work out, and the relationship didn't work out, and it was like, man, all these dudes ain't no good. None of them want to cut grass. None of them want to do this. None of them want to take care of the house. None of them want to help out with the bills. And I'm like, you pick them. You pick them. You let them take you on a date. You let them court you. You kept letting them in. And so the what's consistent is not the men. The consistency is your choice. And if you keep choosing these men, you're gonna keep choosing. You're gonna get the same result.
Mm-hmm. I totally
And
believe that.
you have to change yourself. There is something about you that is drawing these men to you. And it is
Yes.
something about you that needs to change so you can get a better quality of man. because the man you're looking for isn't looking at you in the club. He's not looking for you in the dance club or out in the streets at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's not what the guy that you want. You want the guy with the suit, but you out with the dude with the who's sagging his pants and he a thug and he got the Timberlands on.
Yes, because
So what you want,
association breeds that. Yep. Go ahead.
yep, it doesn't match up, and it'll never match up. You'll never connect yourself until you change your expectations and what you are and who you are inside. So you have, like you said, it has to be on the same level. So if you keep meeting the dog, and I hate to say it, but if you keep meeting a dog, what does that make you? So
hey,
it's
I tell
powerful.
people all the time, like if you keep picking up strays, it's because you're always in that area.
True.
Association breeds simulation. If I want to get a thoroughbred, I go with thoroughbreds are trained and know where they at. I told this to somebody the other day. I said, people always say, man, 2 doctors got married, 2 lawyers got married, 2 teachers got married. Well, they were in proximity of one another.
Exactly.
They were in proximity. They were on their journey. This is what I try to tell women all the time. Stop chasing a man. Grow in who you are. If you grow in who you are, eventually the level of your intelligence, your hard work, your stability, your class, and there's a lot of classy young ladies out here, you're going to draw that. And most men know a classy woman when he sees one. I cannot
Exactly.
this is what we never want to say. And that's why I'm always getting in trouble, because I'm always saying it straight. But men will sleep with a hoe, but they will always look for a wife. Even the dogs do that. Even the dogs, even the worst man will look for a wife. He may not be worthy of one. He may not ever feel good enough, but he wants it. Because one, he want to probably have somebody take care of his tired behind. But they're looking for that. But then a woman who is a wife quality, her options are always endless. I was just talking to one of the young ladies the other day. She was like, I don't understand why men never want to come with me. She's 33 and she's a doctor. 32 and she's a doctor. I said, it's not you that's the problem. It's just that your success and your stability is intimidating, because men at 32 sometimes are still trying to find out who they are and what they are.
True.
But then I said, I got a whole bunch of brothers over here that I know. If you ever need help, I got a couple. Because I'm around successful young African-American men who work towards their goals. And let's get to the original point. That's why it's so important for young men to be around other quality men.
Yep.
Because if a woman sees, because we have more educated Black men graduating college like ever before. Like I said again, we have more Black men being fathers like ever before. But we are not good at relationships. And the reason why we're good at taking care of our kids and pouring into them, because there's nothing to lose with them. They're your kids.
Yeah.
But a relationship costs you a lot of your old identity. Man, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound bad. Men are afraid of commitment because the commitment has a high cost. I am now not just responsible for myself. I am responsible for you. A man will take, he'll be mad about paying for child support. Most men, if you're an idiot, you don't want to do it. But most men is like, he don't mind the child support, taking his kid to eat, because he feels an obligation to that as a father. The problem is we're not teaching men that it is an obligation. It is a privilege to have a wife. And you will never be good enough. You will work to your dying day to be good enough. You just work to your dying day. I tell my wife, I'm going to outwork loving you. I'm never going to be good enough for you. I'm never going to have it all together, but you will never stop me from working on being better just for you. And here's something that I think women need to know that's very important. You should never want your husband to only do stuff for you because you're going to give him something. He should do it just because you are his wife. Like I don't do for Jackie. And I went through this. I really have, and I'm still growing in this area. I've come to the end of myself. And the end of myself is saying, I've come to the end of me wanting her to do stuff. I just fed you. I just paid this bill. I just do this. I need you to make love to me now. I need you to make sure the house is straight. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. That's not love. Love is where I find you and where God gave you to me. I love you. Like Christ don't never stop loving us because we do everything, right? He's consistent. As a husband, I need to be consistent. I need to love you. It says, wash with the word of the word. So I need to know my word very well. Present her without spot or wrinkle. So she has a flaw. It's so hard to see it because I keep her so clean with my love. You feel me? I'm on my job as a man. I can't be on my job if I'm only looking to love you when it's reciprocated. That's not unconditional love. You
It's
know what I'm
true.
saying? I spend more time apologizing to my wife because I'm not consistently loving you without you having to give me something for it. And that's a shame on me as your husband. And that's scary to a lot of people, man. And I know.
That That's true though. It's true though. We need to stop keeping count, right? We need to stop keeping a tally. We do that in courtship. We do that in relationships. Oh, I text him twice. He ain't text me once, so I'm not going to text him anymore. That's not love. That's
Mm,
not love. That's not what love is talking about. Love is consistent. If you're thinking
mm,
about me, if you want me, let me know. And I'm going to
mm,
reciprocate the same energy. Love is not this one directional thing. It's a circle. It
mm,
goes in a circle. So it comes around, goes around. If you're thinking about me, let me know. Stop keeping
mm.
count. I hate when people keep tallies on their love. Oh, I
Right.
bought her flowers, so it's her turn to buy me flowers, or her turn to take me. It's her turn to do this. So, I did this. We need to stop doing that. That's not love. When you're
Yeah.
keeping track of how many times your partner called you in a week, that is not love.
It's not
And you
love
need
at
to
all, my
you,
friend.
you need to get out of that, because love
That's
is
good.
consistent. Love always shows up no matter what.
No matter what.
It's
Let me say one part. And ladies, please don't be mad when I say this. The reason why you sometimes think your son doesn't need a man in his life because you want him to experience what you're going through, and that's not fair. Since you think you
mm,
need no man, you trying to tell your son he don't need one. That ain't good parenting. It's like a man coming and say, "Girl,
ooh,
you don't need your mama. Your mama ain't do nothing for me, so I'm not gonna let you see your mama. I'm not gonna let you spend time with your mama." And
ooh.
that's what women do. They punish men who wounded them. And so here's a son. Did you ever notice that sons who look like their daddy always getting heat from their mama? You just like your daddy. He thinking, you gave birth to me. Why am I being blamed for something I ain't do? I ain't dating you. You my mama. And so what
Right.
we do is we perpetuate the wounds on us, on our children.
Ouch.
And then when they get older, we want to make them our boyfriend when they get somebody else. And then they could create a cycle of wanting their sons not to be in a relationship with somebody. And then they don't have anything healthy. I want to say this to most mothers: be the best person you could possibly be before you try to drill something in your son. You are no good to him wounded, and men included. You just no good to your child wounded. When you have to say stuff like, men ain't no good anyway, a dog, you're raising a boy. So is he going to be a dog now too? You got to remember
Mm.
what you speak into existence, which is also speaking into your son. Because most sons who are raised by a mom who talk about how bad men are, they son turn around and do the same thing because of the guilt that the mother put on them. You instill
Always.
hoism. You instill hoism in your
Mm.
son when you talk about men always being hoes because he a boy
Yeah.
and his mom is his hero. So mommy's gonna sit around and talk about how bad men is. Men ain't never stable. They can't never keep a job. And you wondering why he's still in your house. You spoke that
Hmm.
into his life.
Hmm.
You
You
a
you
good
even
mother will
see
say,
it. Yeah.
yeah, a good mother will say, my aunt was abused by her husband, very much so. And then here comes four boys in her house who have been abused by their father, and her sister has been abused by, and got boys who are violent in her house. The first thing she said, you will not be the men that you were raised by or that were part of your lives. You will be your own man. And then she said what all typical black mothers say, if God don't keep you, this belt will. And then she would, proceed to tear people hind parts up and
Mm.
instilled in us that we could be great. But she got healed. She spent time with God. Man, you could talk to my auntie right now. She would give you stories about how God healed her by growing us. And then she would even not give us a spanking if she felt it was in line with a wound. So we wouldn't get spankings sometimes. We think, I know I'm getting my boy towed up. And one day I asked her, I said, I was older, I was like, there was times I should have got beaten. You didn't even give it to me. She said, I didn't want to give you or punish you because give you a spanking or punish you because I wasn't doing it from a place of parenting. I was doing it from a place of abuse from my ex-husband. So I didn't want to deal with you. So
Wow.
I give you to grandma and let grandma deal with it. But see, that's the difference. I think I grew up in a healthy environment because I just had women who were sharp at who they were. And I think a lot of good, great women, because I don't think there's no one bad woman. I think they're just wounded. If you're wounded and you've been backed in the corner, you're going to bark, you're going to bite, you're going to want to hurt somebody. But if you're loved properly, if you're cared for, and if you're encouraged to be great, that's another thing I don't see enough of. Black men don't encourage women enough, and Black women don't let go their pain enough. If we did that, we sky's to be the limit. Because a healthy woman will say, yeah, you do need a man in your life, but you know, I'm raising you, respect the house, but go on, get the mentorship program. Go on and go fishing with the men and do the sports thing and go on to movies with the men and have them talk to you about certain things. Or, hey, he's really getting disrespectful for me. He's at that teenage phase. I need you to have that man talk about how he's supposed to treat a woman. That's what, because most young men who are abusive, a lot of these famous people you see that are abusive towards women, they grew up in abusive homes.
Right.
So I think what we don't know is, we got to say again, I say the three things that I know we've been on it for a minute, but spirituality, physical prowess, right, and mentality has to be developed in men, and women can't give that to them. But I do believe that women can show them what the pure model of a healthy woman is, so they know what to look for and they know what to honor. But we can't honor you if you're broken. We're honoring brokenness. And so when I go sleep with a girl and she starts bugging, talking crazy like you do, and I see my daddy left, well, I'm gonna leave too, because we're not supposed to stay when you wild like that.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to take in a lot of the account that men are perpetuating a slave mentality anyway. It's called modern day slavery, where we still breed, but we don't father. Right? Women see themselves as the backbone of the family, as if men are spineless. Like, that's just craziness, man. We're one. You know, I'm not taking away from Big Mama because I was raised by one. But my grandmother tell you in a minute, she used to jokingly say, boy, if your grandfather was here, we'd be doing some things. And I ain't talking about the Holy Ghost either. You understand what I say? God, I just don't want to hear that. And she would say, and a lot of things that he did, he would be leading in his house. And you wouldn't even be talking to you like that if he was in his house right now, because he would have beat the bricks off you. I would have had to call you a brother, because he would have took care of it himself. And we need that in this life. And I'm not just talking about the physical discipline. I'm talking about the mental stability of how to be a protector and how to be a caring and healthy man. I want ladies to know that they are such a gift, man. Women are such a gift. And my biggest fear is, ladies, your anger blinds the goodness that walk past you every day. There are men out there looking for you, but you can't be seen because your eyes are blinded by your anger and your bitterness and your wounds. Get healthy. When you're healthy, you attract healthy.
Yeah.
When you're in the mud, you're gonna get muddy.
Yeah. A healthy, wholesome man can spot a damaged, battered woman.
Oh yeah, I run like the plug when I see him.
And vice versa, right? A woman knows what she's looking for, and she can spot a bruised or dependent man. The most powerful thing for me is when I had and I know we've been on here, y'all, a while, but I experienced it myself. I have investment properties. So I had a woman call me up, and she was asking me questions. She's like, oh, I saw your ad. I wanted to know some questions. How much is the rent? And she was asking me the basic questions about a tenant. And so I said, so when will you come by to see the property? When do you want to do the walkthrough? And she's like, no, this is for a man. I'm getting all of this so I can go back and tell my my boyfriend about this property, but I'm asking all the questions. So I told the young lady, I said, listen, I need you to never do this again. I need you to hang up this phone, and I will not talk anymore about this property until the young man calls me himself. And she's like, well, he busy, he working, he grinding. I said, if he's a man, if he's looking for a place, if he truly wants to look for a place, he will do it himself. He's not going to send his woman. I don't care how busy you are. I'm busy too. I'm busy. Lord knows I'm busy. I told this young lady, and she was like, you know what? You're right. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I said, ma'am, don't you ever call another property or inquire about another property for this man again. And I hope and I pray to this day that she never called for that man again, because that was crazy to me. She was calling around, shopping around. He's the one that needs the place. He's the one that's homeless, not her. He's homeless. and he's the one that needs a place, but he has her calling around because he's too busy.
Wow.
And so that's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, in this episode. That is the cycle that we're discussing. So how do we get back to basics? How we're up 70%. How do we get to the 80%? How do we get to the 90%? How do we get to 100% in men going back to being men and leading the home?
I think the big thing now is men and women need to come together and do well in family. I think we got to get past because you got healthy fathers, but they don't have a healthy relationship with the mother. They're just cordial. Now they got to get back to having conversation and sitting down. I don't care if you're not married. I tell all the men who are divorced or they so-called baby mamas, first, stop calling her your baby mother. Say she's the mother of the children. Yep. Secondly, go sit down with her and say, hey, how can I do a better job as a father assist you with the kids when you're at home? Is there anything you want me to reiterate with him while he's home with you? And she may come with, you ain't do this and you ain't do, don't even worry about all that. That came with laying with her. You signed up for all that when you had the baby, bro. And the dudes I mentor, they get mad at me. Like, you always seem like catering to the female. I am. You the man, you suck it up. If people ask you what's going on in problems, you say you the problem. Everybody knows she crazy. You ain't got to go dog her. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason she's still crazy is because you keep feeding into it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you see she crazy. Yeah, you crazy too because you're allowing it. If you love her and respect her. And then those who are married like myself, we need to spend more time being present with our families. A lot of times black men are chasing white dudes. And we don't like to have that conversation. But it's kind of like, yo, I want to be on the same level as a white man. I want to make my money, especially black men who are ambitious, who want to be respected. So we'll spend so much time fighting in the world, not realizing we got a legacy that we need to build at home.
Right here, like right in front of us.
Yeah, I got to raise these kids to be great. Like my kids was all upset about the race thing and all that. And my wife was like, well, you know, they're struggling. Let them watch TV. Nah, because when you go to college, ain't nobody going to be in that dorm room with you. And you ain't coming back here. Now, of course, I am lying a little bit because I know my daughter's coming. I'm just gonna let them in the house. But, you know, my boys, I don't know, pray for me. I struggle. I should have let them in. But it's like, yo, you better get done. And the only way we're gonna do that is if we work together, because we're partners. I ain't no better than you. You ain't no better than me. I may get the final decision as the man, but that's just a burden that you shouldn't have to bear if it goes wrong. I don't want my wife to live with that guilt. Do you understand? True. If you want to get to the 80, 90, we need to pray and believe for men to be healthy in the relationship with the women. Because now black men are really good at being with their kids, but they're not good at being in good relationships with men. And we need to build our relationship off of hip hop music, culture, and fashion. And, you know, like if you got a Bentley and you live in an apartment complex, I'm like, bro, you know, my homeboy, my age, we both 45. He's like, yo, man, you always driving that hoopty. You doing a real estate thing. And I was like, yeah, I want to try to get to 20 units by the time I'm 50.
Boom.
And normally I'll probably double that. But I said low ball 20, you know. And he was like, oh man, he was like, man, I'm trying to get this new. I was like, you trying to buy something when you broke and you don't spend time with your wife. And here's another thing. Men need to build their dreams with their queen. So I'm studying for real estate. My wife's like, you studying? You getting new things to take care of this? You doing this? I'm looking at properties. I'm looking at what style I need to be in. And she'll say stuff like, yeah, you really ain't good at that. You might not want to mess with that because you're going to be mad and frustrated. I'll be like, you know what? You're right. I need to develop that. That's why men leave their wife. Yeah, because that's how it is. And men need to understand, if your wife is coaching you up, that means she in the gym with you shooting the shot. So she owns 50% of all that. You know what I'm saying? She ain't got to be the one doing the work. If she giving you one good advice that could take you from losing your mind, she was with you shooting the shot. I heard my man say, when she ain't looking at these properties, she ain't doing that. Well, she just told you what not to do. You'd have been looking at 100 properties in the wrong direction, and her one good advice got you going in the right way. That's 50% right there. You know what I'm saying? She putting up with you. That's 50% right there. She live with you every day, and you're an idiot sometimes. That's 50% right there. Like I'm never getting a divorce. I tell you, if you leave me, I'm going with you. You understand what I'm saying? Catch that at home. But I said, if it ever got to a place where she just didn't want to be, she would have to leave me. If she left me, I would give her 50% for the rest of her life. If she get married again, we had to talk. We had to talk. It might be down to 25 because I can't take care of another man, woman now.
You're right.
But her as my queen, I just don't have it. You know what I'm saying? I think family is the key. Family is the key. I think the nucleus, and black women, let me say this. I know you're going to kill me for this, but you need to stop pushing us out the home. And black men need to stop running from the home. Learn how to be committed. But all this, I can do it by myself. So I can't do nothing without my wife. When they come to these kids and come to just having somebody to be a sounding board, nah, man. My
It's
Jackie
true.
is my everything, man. She was there with me when I didn't have a clue. And when I got a clue, she was the one to put me to the clue. You understand what I'm saying?
It's
So
true.
I'm not, yeah. I
It's
appreciate the time too, man. It means a lot to me because this is something that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about developing men to grow to be better for these queens that are out here, man. You know, I don't want women to feel like they have to fight with us. I want us to be a compliment, benefit. You know what I'm saying? Ladies, we out here. I got some good brothers and y'all want to know something, just let me know. I got 5 of them about my back because we always got to hang and stuff. We talking like single people. I be like, hey, single brother, you need to get your boy. Yeah,
right.
but anyway, so,
But the
yeah.
most powerful thing you just said, and I'm gonna close with this. The most powerful thing you said is, whenever I talk to men, whenever I talk to couples in general, I always ask them this question, and I'm looking for something in particular. I'm gonna tell you why. I ask, under what circumstance would you leave your husband? Under what
Mm,
circumstance would you leave your wife? And I always get the laundry list, right? I always get the list of, well, if he cheat, if he do this, if she do this, if she do this, if she don't, do this or do the dishes or whatever that is. If she ain't working, I can't be where. If she ain't getting a degree, whatever. I always get the laundry list. What I never hear a couple say is, under no circumstances will I leave my wife. I never get
yep.
that. But that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm listening for. And I never get it. We go into marriage with the expectation that if this happens, I'm leaving them. And I'm not talking about the extreme stuff, the abuse, the adultery, because there are spiritual grounds on when to leave your spouse and when
Right.
to separate from marriage. But we should go in with the premise of, under no circumstances, I'm not leaving my wife. We're going to work this out. And that involves not just us, but community. So when she's mad at me and she goes to her parents aren't going to go, her mom and dad aren't going to go tell her, oh, you need to divorce him. Her parents are going to say, oh, you need to go home and work it out with your husband. When she goes to the
Mm,
lawyer, and when she goes to the family lawyer and says, oh, he doing this, he's not going to say, well, let's sign these divorce papers and send it to him in the mail and not even and send him this blind hand. What he should say is, go home and work it out with your husband. When she goes to her best friend and she's telling all her best friend all the stuff that I did wrong, the best friend should say, you need to go home and work it out with your husband. That involves a community. That involves us.
yep.
And the mindset of, under no circumstances will I leave my wife. And that's key.
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. I tell my wife I fail you consistently, but I grow from every failure. You know, it's not from adultery, abuse, and all that, but I grow from every failure. I have to learn that the D word is not an option for me. I told my wife, I even go as far as this, and I pray it never happens, but my wife was like, "Oh, if you ever had an adultery, I would divorce you," and that's her standard. She would leave me, and she said, "If I ever had adultery, would you leave me?" I said, "I don't know. I love you too much. You know, I don't want you to do that. I
That's
might
right.
kill the person you slept with because I can't see his face. He got to die, right?"
Right. 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 Right.
As far
Right.
as you, but far as you, I just can't see myself. You know, you know. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just like I put so much love and care so much. I care deeply for my wife, and physical moments and verbal moments and anger and all those things. People just don't know how to love unconditionally. If I fail God, He always forgives me. Now, if you kill somebody, you go to jail, but God still
Right.
loves you. Like
Right.
He still loves you. If you wound somebody, you get prosecuted, or you get a crime, or that person has to heal. They might not want to deal with you anymore, never be your friend. But God is always a friend. He always loves you, always cares. And the Bible says, "Love your wife as Christ loved the church." Ye without sin cast the first stone. Because there might have been ways I treated her that pushed her away, that she ran into another arms of a moment of vulnerability. I had to take ownership for the things that I have done as a man. And that's not always the case. 9 times out of 10, that doesn't happen if you're doing your job. But when you're not doing your job, those things happen. And I've seen people have
Yeah.
healthy marriages when those things happen. So I say that to say this: the 80-90% comes when the household is complete.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Between a man and a woman. I know people are gonna get mad on it, but I'm factamundo with this stuff. I want my son to understand the importance of loving a woman completely. I want my daughters to understand loving a man completely and be treated with respect and honor and dignity and unconditional love.
Amen.
Yep.
We are closing out, y'all. What 3 books would you recommend that every man, woman should read?
I think every man should give her son the book called, and I think this is a very powerful book. It's called Disciplines of a Godly Man. Disciplines of a Godly Man is one of the most powerful books any young man should ever read. Disciplines of a Godly Man. The next book I would recommend that I think is very, very important is that I think women and men should read is a book called Experiencing God by Henry Blackaby. That book deals with your internal makeup and who you are, your understanding of who God is for your life. Because if you don't know you, then you won't know how to help anybody else. Um, and that's just for couples. I think they should read that because I know that book is dealing more with your personal life, but it's better to know you before you destroy the person you're with.
Yeah.
The last book I would recommend is by Chip Dodds. It's called uh, uh, Needs of the Heart. The Needs of the Heart book talks about your emotions and what you deal with, how you govern yourself, and how you act, and how you know when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're frustrated, when you're overwhelmed. The Chip Dodds Needs of the Heart is just an amazing book. It will help you to grow tremendously. And then in August of 2021, you could buy my book, which is going to be called Mr. Irrelevant. The most important man in the world is one who can be present. And that book is dealing specifically with 5 areas of life. That's faith, family, functionality, which is your gifting and your skill set, and finance and fitness. The 3 ones are the core ones that are very important: family, functionality, faith, family, and functionality. I think your faith needs to be secure in who you are and what you believe in and what you stand for. I think your family, that needs to be a priority. What is your role in that family? And there's a circle that I'm developing. You have to understand what you are as who the father is. You have to understand your role as a son. You have to understand your role as a brother, right? Then you have to understand your role as a friend. And then you need to understand your role as a husband. Then it gets back to you becoming the father. So that's the circle of life of every man. He has a father, he is a son, he is a brother, he is a friend, he is a husband, and then he becomes a father himself.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Who's your hero and why?
Oh man. Uh Honestly, I think my biggest hero are 2 people. James C. Scott, the man who raised me as a man, who became my father because he chose to be, not because somebody ever asked him to. Went to all my basketball games, corrected me on how I treated my grandmother, took me out to eat. He just spent time with me as a young man. So he's my hero. And my hero is my grandmother. Anybody would take in a kid who grew up in a crack house, smelled bad, didn't take baths, violent kid, and just raise him and love him is my hero. I don't have these popular heroes and stuff like that,
Right.
because those people don't really spend time in your life. Some people, they like them because they admire them, but a real
Right.
hero to me is one who impacts you personally. And so James C. Scott, who helped me to define what my relationship with the Lord is and who I am as a man, and Mildred Thompson, they're both gone to be with the Lord now. She taught me how to love a woman. She was a ladies' lady, church hat, shoes, stand there, open the door, ain't carry no groceries, ain't dump no trash, ain't wash no dishes. She cooked the bomb meals, but she made me do everything else as a man. And so I loved her for it, man. So I think that's my heroes.
That's powerful.
Yes,
Powerful,
sir.
powerful, powerful. What is the best way my audience can get in contact with you? How can my audience, if they want to connect with you, if there are men in the audience that want to grow with you and learn from you and experience that knowledge that you have, how can they connect with you?
Follow me. The best place to follow me is on Instagram for the young folks. And Old folks is Facebook. They're the same thing. It's at Mr. James Taylor Jr. That's MrJamestayLorJr. You follow me that. And I also have a mentoring program for men. So if they want to get coached and spend time and grow, and yes, I do charge for those platforms. But if you are a man and you cannot afford it, I don't turn nobody away. I get criticized by my boys all the time because everything is about money. I don't turn away. No, if you are African American man, or you can listen, you probably could get me for a minute till I find out you got some change. Right? but I'm just a shepherd, man. So I don't want anybody to be left behind as a man. So those are platforms you can. And actually, what is today? Thursday. Tomorrow I'll be having my first podcast. Will be posting, and then I'll also be putting up my ads and stuff for things that people can follow me on and build with me, because it's my passion to pour into men, man, and help them to grow and understand their role and responsibility to be best for these beautiful women that are out here, man. You know what I'm saying? These women saying ain't no options. I'm working, ladies. I'm working. I just got to get them right. They can't knock on your door if they ain't got nothing. So you hear me? So that's a goal.
That's true. That's powerful. That's powerful. Y'all, thank you for subscribing us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Mr. James Taylor, sir, you got any last words for my audience? Any nuggets?
Hey, to all the mothers out there, you are appreciated. You are valued. I know you're going to bust me in the head. Probably some of you when you see me. That's okay. We can have the hard conversation. But I guarantee you, if your son ever needs to be encouraged, I will do so in great ways. And always remember, as I used to say when we was together at church, remember to love, pray, serve, and share, man, at all times.
The village. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this great episode. We appreciate you spending time with us today. I hope this message was impactful. I hope it served you and served others. If you ever want to connect with me and want to connect with Mr. James Taylor, I will connect you to him. So please reach out. Please like, share, and subscribe. And so, like I always end every show, ladies and gentlemen, please take care of your families, take care of your homes, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman and Mr. James Taylor signing off. We love you. Bye. One.